Hello, and welcome to the WURM Studio Tour. I'm your host, Art Black. So, first thing I want to show is my setup here. My laptop, which I do all my recording on. I use Reaper to record a lot of stuff on. And then sometimes I master it in Reaper, and sometimes I use Audacity, which has a lot of cool tools to use. I don't know why I do it that way. I'm just used to it. Next thing is my mixer. It's a Soundcraft Signature 12. It goes in as my interface and records 12 tracks onto Reaper, which is somewhere. And I have a little template that I use to record all my tracks onto. The first thing that I use to record music is my Electribe 2 sampler, which I've been using for almost 6 or 7 years now. I used to have the ES1 that I was using. Volume knob became janky, so I upgraded, sold my ES1 back to the original owner. We do a lot of trades and sell to each other in this town. When we don't get something new, we make trades for that. The next thing is, recently I got a second Electribe 2. Why? For samples, mostly. This one does all the drum beat samples. So all my drum beats are weird sounds that I sampled either off the internet or with another recording device. The recording device being my Tascam here, the DR40. Next thing I have is my Electribe goes into my Chaos Quad here. And I manipulate all the drum beats with these pads. And I love all the different effects that you can do at the same time. The Electribe 2S sampler for the other samples, which I do movie samples on. Maybe I overdo it. I'm probably going to experiment with chopping sounds and stuff like I used to do on this one. And that goes into my KP3, which I do most of the weird effects for the samples on, or voice stuff, or loops. These will do the loops, and for various ambient style things. The next thing is my monologue, which I use for all my bass sounds, and to give it more depth, I use my KP2 for a lot of sounds, affecting it in various ways, mostly give it like a granular sound to it. The next thing is for melodies. I've been using my Minilog XD. Has all sorts of effects I loaded on there and oscillators and things like that. And so I don't have it plugged into anything except for the mixer. And then I also have my Mini Nova here, which does leads. Sometimes I'll switch between these two. But I didn't normally do it exactly like that before I got this little guy. For my last album, basically just the last album, I used this for sequencing with my Electribe 2 sampler, these two guys, and sometimes this, but mostly just play leads with this. And let's see, that doesn't go into anything except for, again, the mixer, which it has its own effects and it's pretty decent. It has a pretty deep sound, uh, even better in some ways than the Minilog XD. But I think that's just the amp that it uses somehow. It's got a darker, richer sound, which I could probably develop on this guy, but I'm so busy I don't get a chance to always mess with all the presets and settings and making my own presets and settings. Next thing you'll notice, I have my guitar pedals here, which are normally on the floor, but I've been experimenting with some stuff that I'll be doing in the near future with my Fender Jaguar, which I haven't actually picked up in a very long time, but I'm planning on doing very soon. I've had this guitar since 1992, and I used to play it a lot up until the mid-90s, where it just sat in its case, only getting attention from a friend of mine who is a huge Fender enthusiast, and he would take it from me and retune it for me all the time for no reason except that he loved it. The next thing I have to show is, besides my stupidly massive CD collection, not as big as some people's record collections, my studio's in a bit of a mess right now, saving space. We've got some little toys here for circuit bending. I've got a bass and acoustic guitar in the corner here. I've got these giant Ross stacks for when I do sound for myself at places that don't have their own sound. Some charts because I'm reteaching myself some theory stuff. My gas mask collection. These two keyboards, which I plan on circuit bending pretty soon. Some other random nonsense. I got the MPD218, and buried under here is another keyboard. And I got this M Audio Keystation Mini 32. Both I was going to use to do a more DAW-oriented setup, but I just can't get into it at all. It takes too long to make any kind of music that I enjoy, when I can make a song in like 5 minutes on these things. And like literally I made a whole album in like 1 hour with a friend of mine. He played some synths and I played the drums and a couple synths and samples, and we did it in 1 hour. A DAW cannot do that. Maybe they can, but you'll have to tell me about that. I got my Alien collection because I am a little bit obsessed with Alien, but not super obsessed, just mildly. I've got my little workbench for all my circuit bending stuff, which I have absolutely no room for. I have this synth that I built. It actually works pretty well, but I messed up some of the circuits for the VCAs and VCFs, but everything else works really well. It makes a lot of noise and sequences that noise pretty cool. The little sequencer there. I just never mess with it anymore. Or any of the other junk that I made, like that drum machine, the weird sound module, all noisemakers, toys that I'm making robots with. I make little robots. All the little components, like resistors, capacitors, things like that. The famous SK1 Casio, which has been circuit bent, not by me, but I'm going to use the concepts on that to circumvent this SK1, which is unmolested. But I will molest it a lot. A lot. There's my dog Indy, my cat Fog, and my cat Storm. And my wife is busy at work, so I will not introduce her. And then we met R2 briefly. Thank you for being a part of my studio tour. I hope you enjoyed it.
Get fucked.
Now. Keeping it gangsta, 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 gangsta life I'm living. Keeping it gangsta, gangsta, gangsta. Gangsters make the world go round. You wanna fuck with Romero from the 505, but book it local. I'm lyrically twice your size. But instead of you a rapper, that's a nice disguise. But instead of you like a bitch, help you write your rhymes.